Okay, so I am so excited to talk to you because I've been stalking you on Instagram for a while. I have Catherine Licari here from the Small Business Planner. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy.
Yeah. So I stalked you for a while. I found out about you about a year ago, and then I followed your Instagram account. I was fascinated by the handle name, Cashflow for Creatives. And then somehow I lost touch, and then I was like, where's that woman who does the finance for creative business owners? Because I want to stalk her. I'm so excited. So I'm traveling here to New York. I used to live here, and
welcome home.
Thank you. And one of my guests fell out, and I was like, who can I interview? And I'm like, this is perfect timing.
I'm so happy.
All of it so perfect. So I want to tell you how awesome you are. I'm going to read your bio in front of you.
Oh, I can feel myself blushing in advance.
Okay. I'm blushing too. No. Catherine Smith Licari is the founder of Cashflow for Creatives, a financial literacy company dedicated to small business owner community. Her best-selling business guide, The Small Business Planner, has helped thousands of business owners in the 12 months since it's launched. She has been an entrepreneur for over 10 years in the retail and luxury goods space and holds both an MA from Parsons and an MBA from Columbia Business School. So I'm excited to hear about your journey. We were talking a little bit about everything that happened and your journey to creating this planner before. So we're going to break it down. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the luxury and fashion space.
Absolutely. Well, I was always interested in the creative spaces, and I grew up loving art and drawing and just being drawn to like pretty things.
Right.
And I grew up just outside of New York City, so it was always something that was kind of like the plan. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that New York City was where I wanted to be. I was really just focused on getting out of my small town and getting here. And I started my career in magazines. And I worked as like a baby editor and the assistant to a couple of different editors-in-chief.
Which magazines?
I started with an unpaid postgraduate internship at W, which
was
amazing. I worked for Stefano Tonki as an intern, like full time. This was 2011, so the very last breaths of the fashion industry, really, and the labor laws and the permalance and all that stuff. But I actually asked my writing professor from my undergrad if he would write a letter basically saying to Condé Nast that this would be like a continuance of my education and really, really helpful and impactful for me as like essentially a brand new graduate. And it all worked, which was incredible. And because I had been trying to work in magazines for a long time, I had an internship offer from 17 magazine. I'm going way back. The summer going into my sophomore year in college, and my school wouldn't accept it.
Oh, really?
They were like, you can't do an internship just after your freshman year. They wanted you to be old. I don't know, whatever. But I was like, but I have the internship. They're like, well, you can't be qualified yet to do an internship. And I was like, this is
so weird.
So silly. And so I really wanted to have that magazine internship experience, very much like the Devil Wears Prada story. And that was really something that was a priority for many women, like coming into New York at that time. Yeah, that just quickly put me in this kind of epicenter of the New York fashion world, just an internship, but for the most powerful person in the room.
Right.
And Stefano had taken over the magazine not long before and was really doing incredible work. And so that was really transformative and an incredible experience for me as a young professional. And then I went and worked for a designer as an assistant and was basically inside watching how a label was run. Yeah. And one of the CEO of that label, she's still a dear friend and mentor of mine today. I remember she was pregnant and she was walking around with like a laptop and a printout of a humongous spreadsheet. And I was like, whatever she's got going on, like that's what I want to be doing. I want to be the like badass woman who's actually in charge of this creative enterprise. And so that was an image that stayed in my mind for a really long time. But I quickly realized, I was like, oh wow, okay, fashion businesses are very difficult. I think I've learned all the lessons I need. I really want to go back to magazines. And then I was able to get a full-time job back at Condé Nast at Brides magazine.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was great. And I was writing the table of contents for the magazine.
That's what you did?
That's basically what I did. I was a features editorial assistant and working on like a news page. And there's not a lot of news in bridal, but there's a lot of new jewelry designers, new engagement ring concepts and things like that. So that's sort of what I was covering and meeting these New York brands who were like pitching the magazine. And so that started to give me an entree to the idea of emerging brands in the luxury space. It's a lot easier to write a news page if you just focus on the new and the next
Exactly.
coming up, you know?
So fun.
And then the editor-in-chief left, and my boss, who was the number 2 at the magazine, was promoted. Her name is Kia Miner, and she became the first Black editor-in-chief in Condé Nast's history.
Amazing.
Yeah. And she looked at me and was like, I don't want to take you away from your editorial career, but I need an assistant. And you had this internship in Stefano's office. You've just assisted another designer, and you seem like pretty organized and eager.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I'll be your assistant. And
so cool.
It was great. And like, you know, it was the Obama era. There was a lot of good stuff going on. And not to get immediately political, I'm just reminded, but it matters.
Just that space and time.
It was that space and time. And Kia, you know, immediately found herself on like morning shows, like Good Morning America, and having dinner with the Obamas at Anna Wintour's house, and was kind of coming to me for style guidance and get her ready. And that's what you did as an assistant at a magazine. And you made sure that if your boss, the editor-in-chief, was going on television or going to Anna Wintour's house, that like she looked great and she was prepared and ready. And so again, that just showed me how these creative organizations were run, because again, I was privy to the most powerful person in the room creatively, and watching, okay, this is how you, because all the magazines are sort of their own thing under a larger corporate umbrella. And so I was really seeing examples of great like organizational design and leadership and budgeting in interdepartments and advocating for why you need a certain photo shoot budget and et cetera. So the business side of the creative space was always something I just kind of found myself in. And then fast forward, I was there for a couple of years, and I really felt like I wanted to work for myself. I didn't really know at the time that that's what I was kind of being called towards, but I had this idea because Instagram had just started. So this was 2012, 2013, early 2014, and emerging brands were able to come online and start to sort of tell their story, like really rapidly in an amazing way. But the commerce piece wasn't there. So you'd have brands like a very specific example was Mansur Gavriel. They came out with these amazing bags. They had these pops of color. Exactly, we all do. And they would release on Instagram, and then you could not. It was a pre-order situation. You'd have to like call a boutique in Brooklyn to put your name on a wait list. It was a very fractured shopping experience. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be amazing to create a destination that
where people could just go,
only carried brands like this? And because it's very difficult, obviously, for emerging brands to get into retailers today. It was very difficult back then as well. And so I sort of saw, oh, if I make it easier for them to get distribution, and I do it in a really chic way, and we place these small wholesale orders, so it's like I'm not asking them to do this on consignment. I just tried to set up conditions where it would be an easy yes. And so I started working on that business. I needed an off-ramp to leave my magazine job, so I applied to Parsons to do a master's in fashion studies. And that was like my health insurance plan and like my kind of goal stacking. I was like, okay, I have this idea for this shopping website, but what if it fails? I was like, I need another goal that I have reasonably high expectations that I will achieve at the same, you say, okay, let's do this. It'll be 2 years. And either my business will be successful or it won't. But 2 years from now, I will have a master's degree. And people had been telling me, oh, you need more education. And I was like, I just got out of school. What do you mean I need more education? So I found that Masters of Fashion Studies program, which it's very much fashion history, fashion theory, dress practices, and a lot of psychology.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so I got into that, transitioned out of the job, continued to write for brides.com for a number of years, and have a great relationship with Kia to this day. She was at my wedding, and I just adore her, and it was such a special time in life. And that summer, before the Parsons program started, I was just focused on getting the website up and running, and then we launched on November 4th, 2014 with like 8 different handbag and fine jewelry emerging designers on the site. And I was shipping from my apartment.
What was the name of the website?
Plan de Ville.
And what were the brands?
Oh my gosh, that first batch, it included, going back, like Lizzie Mandler, I think, was in that first batch, and she now has, this is 10 years ago, and she now has a beautiful store in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
Spinelli Kilcullen was in the very first batch as well. I don't think they were on the site when we launched, but very shortly after. And they did one of the very first colored rings that they had ever done for my site, which was incredible. I tried to create a sense of exclusives for us that would integrate emeralds. Just that kind of incredible emerald green. First of all, it looks great on everybody.
Exactly.
And it's not too gendered of a color. Like,
exactly.
It's something that is really universally appealing and not often, I think, used. And so there was a handbag brand called Dylan Dupre, and they had like an emerald stripe on it. And
oh, cool.
Coming from media and magazines, I knew how to get press coverage. The other editors were just my friends. And so we were able to build momentum really quickly. And then about a year later, we expanded into ready-to-wear and shoes. And by then I needed an office, because when you go into the ready-to-wear and shoe
I know, you need space.
direction, you need space. The beautiful thing about jewelry is you need like
we were just talking about
like
this.
a little trapper keeper like pencil case, and you can have $1 million business in the size of a pencil case.
Exactly.
So thinking about scale and size is important when you're building a business. I was not always thinking about that.
Were you clear on your vision for what you wanted that business to be when you started it, or was that something you're just like, well, I'm going to start this and see what happens?
I was clear on the vision as it relates to the customer experience. I wanted to be like a baby Net-a-Porter that did same-day delivery in New York City of pieces that you would not also see on other women at the party or the event. And I really wanted to kind of facilitate connection. So observing this friction on Instagram where there's something chic and you can't really buy it, and you're DMing with the brand and they're like, we could only afford to produce 20 and they're gone already. Like I wanted to create a smooth conduit for connection between these emerging luxury fashion designers and the people who would love to wear them.
Yeah.
That was the vision. That I was very clear about. But what was interesting is then I quickly realized, retail is hard. Like retail's really tough. And I say retail meaning, you know, any business where you are curating and then reselling product. So if you're paying a wholesale price, you're selling at a retail price, and you are working with that margin in between those two numbers, tough.
It is tough. Let's talk about why it's tough.
Yes.
Because I think this is something that like everyone needs to understand. You know, I can't stand it when someone is like, the markup is so high. And I'm like, but you don't realize how much they're paying for, you know, their brick and mortar or their office space or their marketing and all these other things. And there's a standard markup. Like you're not overpaying for that.
Right. And the standard markups are really important, and not everybody is aware of these things. Yeah. And they need to be there. I think one of the most effective things I can say to people who struggle with the idea of charging like according to a healthy profit margin is, if you think about the people that love to buy from you and you go about underpricing or not accurately pricing your products, you're going to go out of business and deprive those people
of getting way to put it that way.
To shop with you.
Exactly.
Like you need to do the right financial work so that you can stay in business, so that you can continue to delight and inspire your customers. And we need to expect the same thing of the businesses that we like to shop from. So if you are, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example, but it could be literally anything. Like imagine you finally found the perfect pair of jeans.
Yes.
Which is the ultimate challenge in life.
This is true.
Like ultimate. You find the perfect pair of jeans, they make you feel amazing. They're perfect for every single scenario in your life. And then all of a sudden you go and the website is like, 404 error, out of business.
So bummed.
It's because they weren't properly pricing.
Yeah.
End of story. So you want them to charge what they need to charge to stay in business so that you don't have to go and find another replacement for your jeans.
This is such a great example. And I think people don't realize that, you know, I work with a lot of startup artists and jewelry designers and people who are starting businesses, and like pricing is always a thing.
Yeah.
And I think what it comes down to, like the confidence in pricing. Well, I think a lot of people actually don't know how to price.
They just don't know. They just don't know. No one is taught this. That was the problem I observed in the landscape across all of small business ownership. Yes, I come from this creative sort of niche in the world that you and I share, but it doesn't matter if you're a fine jewelry designer or you have like a food truck doing tacos.
No, for sure.
Like
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And I also compare it like when you get a driver's license, you have to take a class. You have to take a test in the class. You have to take a driving class on the road. You have to pass a driving test. You probably have to pass a vision exam. You don't have to pass any of those credentializing things.
To start a business?
No. Which on the one hand is great because that's like unlimited opportunity. But on the other hand, do you want people out driving on the roads that have never taken a training course? It's similar. So you get people out there, and there's so much work in setting up a business on every level. And you can feel a sense of gratification and momentum through so much of all of that building that it feels like you're moving forward, and you are. Yeah. But you can also accidentally be moving forward in a totally unprofitable way and not realize it until you're 2 or 3 years in and you've never paid yourself a consistent salary.
You could be moving forward in a way that's going to take you out of business. Really.
Yes. And I've seen mistakes with inventory ordering that it's just over. It's over. There's no coming back from it sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you a story about my inventory, because I lived here for a long time. I think you gathered that. But I had an office on Canal Street. And one day, 2008 happened, the market crashed, and I hired this consultant because I'm like, what the heck am I going to do?
Totally.
No one's ordering. Like, I've got a $60,000 net that I have to pay every single month. And literally I made $10,000 last month. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So he's like, okay, take an inventory. And I took an inventory. I had $150,000 worth of inventory that was not accounted for.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And a lot of it was gold. And the cool part about this, though, at that time is because a lot of the gold that I purchased when it was $400, $600, $800 an ounce. And now it was like $2,000 or ounce or gram, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I ended up making money on that stuff, which
great.
was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's great.
So how do you think over the inventory issue, or explain in your terms why you think inventory is such an important topic, not only to be managed, but how do you actually manage it?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, we need to acknowledge the very real constraints that everybody is going to face in terms of minimum order quantities.
Yes.
So it's very easy for me to say, plan your sales. Figure out the inventory you need to make those sales happen and go and make sure that's exactly what you have all the time. That's not possible. So it's a matter of understanding how to negotiate when it comes to what is the minimum order quantity that you have to work around with whatever it is you sell. And then understanding really how to have discipline around what you're selling. Because one of the biggest challenges when you have too much stuff is that it's kind of spread across different product categories. It isn't really your best-selling products. You don't really know what your audience really wants. People ask me all the time for the small business planner. They're like, oh, will you do other colors? Will you do this, that, and the other thing? I'm like, no. It's one thing because that's what people want. But I'm only able to be disciplined around that after a decade of dealing with product-based businesses.
Exactly.
I think also it's just nobody teaches a longer range view of how to understand where your business is going to go and grow.
Exactly.
And inventory is a part of understanding that timeline. It's complex. It's really a math problem. And nobody is given the formula. So I just thought that wasn't right and wanted to put some of this out in the market. When I started my shopping site, very early on, I started to get calls and texts and emails from our designers asking these questions of me. And I was in my mid-20s.
That's interesting.
Yes. I was like, I don't know the answer, but I will come back to you. I'm going to figure this out. And the questions were like, Catherine, I just got an order from Neiman Marcus. I don't know how to finance this.
Right.
There's no deposit. It's $100,000 order. I need to come up with $35,000, $40,000 to fulfill this order. What do I do? And I didn't know, but I loved that they were asking, and I just became very interested to know how to answer that question.
Right.
And so that, among other things, are what planted the seed in me about thinking oh my gosh, there are many different shades of this, and it's a very big problem, which is how do you drive the car of a creative business, and how do you have a map that you can use and rely on, because there's so many opportunities that come up.
This is true.
You could be driving on 95 and there's an exit every 3/4 of a mile. You can take any of those exits and end up anywhere if you don't know really where you're driving to. And so that is relevant in business. If you get, let's say a marketplace comes to you and they're like, oh, I really want to carry you. It's drop ship and blah, blah, blah. And here are the terms we expect from you. Well, if you don't have a strategy around, I absolutely am not doing drop ship because I already have 2 wholesale partners, and I feel like that gives me enough leverage to say, no, if you want to work with me, you can write a PO. But it's hard to start a business and be really clear and have conviction around what your strategy is, because it can feel like all these opportunities have merit, and they do.
Exactly.
Saying yes to something is saying no to something else.
Exactly. There's so many, I have like a million questions about what you just said, but I think where I want to start is because you're kind of talking about this, but not specifically. It's like business planning.
Yeah.
Why is it such an essential part of running a business? And also, why do you think so many creative people avoid it? Like, why do you think they're like, literally like, when it comes to goals?
That's such a good question. And I think the answer probably comes from like our childhoods.
Right.
You know, you and I'm sure, and everybody who identifies as a creative person was also the same sort of kid in a classroom who either was told, oh, girls aren't good at math, or you like to draw so you don't need to like science. Like all this left brain versus right brain nonsense, when in reality I think all sorts of brains can do all sorts of things. But it was just very easy to pigeonhole creative children and say, focus on English and reading in your art class, because you're never going to be good at math. That's kind of how I was spoken to.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. I think there were very low expectations for me. And I was like, great, because I don't want to do it. I was like, this seems dumb. Geometry, like, algebra. I was like, this. I just couldn't see the relevance in the real world.
I still can't.
Yeah.
My stepdaughters, my bonus daughters, they are doing this complex math, and I'm looking at, we have these whiteboards in our kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, where does one use this? And can it just be done with AI these days? I'm like,
yeah, and it probably can. And I'm all for understanding the mechanics of the math. But nobody was teaching me how to understand the mechanics of the math. It was like just memorization and rote
memorize
stuff.
something with a square or whatever.
Yeah, and I was just not interested. And so, but now, like, I've taken really incredibly difficult financial classes at Columbia Business School because I wanted to take those things.
So what was that like, being creative and like going to Columbia and learning the hard things?
Yeah, I literally felt like Elle Woods, and all of my classmates were like,
hi.
Yeah, I was kind of not a joke, but like a meme. And because I was running this business, I had a number of women working with me full time, including an intern from Harvard Business School, because I was invited to speak at HBS 1 year into the shopping site. I was like, this is amazing. Maybe if they invited me to speak at and recruit from Harvard, maybe I can get into an Ivy League business school myself. And so a couple of years later, I said, this felt like the right next thing, because I looked up from my desk and was like, I don't know how to go beyond this level of sales, and I just didn't know what came next. Right. And this was the mid 2010s. There was a lot of fundraising and a lot of, raising $25 million to launch this shopping app and all of that. And I was like,
yeah, that was a time, wasn't it?
It was a time. It was a complete time. It was the direct to consumer revolution. And I just didn't buy the math.
I know.
I was like, I don't really want to raise $15 million to do this. It just wasn't interesting to me. And so I said, I think I'd be better served by kind of taking a pause. And I kept working. I had to keep working. Yeah. But going and getting these really critical financial skills in a formalized way. I took algebra, like pre-algebra or something, whatever. And then in undergrad, I went to a liberal arts school. So they make you take at least one math requirement. And I took math, numbers, and the real world. That was the title. It was like, if it's 12 o'clock in New York, what time is it in London? Or like, if you...
That's amazing.
It was hilarious. So, it was practical. Right. I showed up. I was like, oh, this is useful. Yeah. At the time, the euro, like the dollar was 60% of €1. And I was like, I need to learn about foreign exchange currencies, because we're getting hammered.
Exactly.
With my friends studying abroad. I was like, oh, the dollar doesn't go very far.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm going to tune in and learn about this. But I had never taken anything other than that. And so I just dove in head first and was like, give me all you got. And people were like, oh, I don't want to take that advanced financial statements analysis class. And I was like, I am only here for advanced financial statements analysis. I just saw so many people were not armed with the tools they needed to be successful. And that's really just defined as being able to understand the way the numbers tell the underlying nature of your business story.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie if you can use them to run them.
Yes. And, if you're awake at 4 a.m. stressed out about your business and you're thinking like, how am I going to make payroll?
Exactly.
Or when am I going to run out of money? Or I ran out of money yesterday. Like,
that happens a lot.
It happens all the time. People listening to this right now are going to be like, yeah, I'm either in it right now or that's happened to me before. Mm-hmm. The solution to dealing with the fear and the unknown and the mania that can come out of that is doing a simple cash flow projection. Mm-hmm. Everybody is capable of doing this. Everybody's capable.
And do you have templates for that?
I do. And so by the time I realized how madly in love I was with helping to solve this problem.
Are you a spreadsheet queen?
I am now a spreadsheet queen, yes. But I keep them simple and I keep them beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because it's so funny, coming out of the fashion industry, the only spreadsheets I ever saw were like massive with colors
complicated
everywhere, and they had no formulas.
They didn't?
Not really.
They were added like
They were like,
manually?
It was not good. And so I was like, oh, I think I need to see some better examples. So I got to Columbia and I immediately saw examples of like these very big corporate spreadsheets. And I was like, oh, this is a totally different ball game. Mm-hmm. And so I put my own spin on them, like adding the beautiful logo of whatever company I was looking at, just making it visually
delicious
serene. Yes, visually delicious. Just calming it all down so that when people open these things, they're like, oh, this looks like I'm in the right place. This spreadsheet has style.
Yeah.
And
because spreadsheet has style. Yeah. I love it.
When something looks back at you and it kind of in its own way looks like you or looks like your version of it. Yes. Yeah, looks like your brand. People are like, I'm in the right place.
Exactly.
Let me click on the second tab and look at what this is trying to show me. So when I started Cash Flow for Creatives, it was very much just that. It was spreadsheets and templates and trainings and like digital course land, which I thought was the solution to this problem. And 2 years in, I was like, wow, nobody wants to buy these things. And it was going.
It's a hard sell. The financials are a hard sell.
It's a hard sell. And yet I had people asking me, like, oh, can I pick your brain? Oh, can we go for coffee to talk about the money in my
course?
Well, yeah, eventually I was like, I think I'll just put this. I knew there was demand for this, for like the payoff of knowing how to do this. But people were really freaked out by the idea of facing this. And one of your questions was sort of about why are creatives kind of conditioned to think they can't do this? Right. And I think it's what happens in childhood and adolescence where we're sort of told you're never going to be good at this, so don't bother. Mm-hmm. But also because the idea of money and just the idea of money is really loaded for so many people.
We all have so many mindset issues.
Everybody's got the mindset issue. Everybody's got self-worth stuff going on. And I know this because it affects me.
Exactly.
And it doesn't feel good to confront things that can be so heavy.
Yes.
And so I was asking people to spend money to confront something really heavy. They're like, I'm good. I already go to therapy. I don't need to do this as well. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't going to give up. I was not willing to give up. And I just continued to try every different format. And like if I ever spoke somewhere or taught about this, it would sell out. The room would be full.
Yes.
But I was like, but this is only one experience. Like I wanted to create some sort of trusted companion that could stay with a small business owner. And yes, the focus was all financial. And then I realized, because I have a private practice, like consulting firm where I do CFO advisory for a number of businesses, I started to see like even in my one-on-one client work, I was like, I'm sort of handling the financial piece for them. So that's good, but it's almost like they can delegate it away and they don't need to really learn it.
Yes.
Because it's handled. And frankly, I don't think that's good enough. I want them to really learn it. And then the other piece of this too is I started to see, even if the financials were handled, there are all these other things from the roadmap of having a successful business that if you don't know what's on that roadmap, but the finances are handled, you're still in trouble. Mm-hmm. You're still in trouble. So when I realized that even if I could successfully sell a finance course for small business owners to 1 million business owners, it wasn't going to tell the whole story of what they needed to know. And so when I had that realization, that's what pushed me into reflecting on, well, how have I always run businesses? And I've always carried around like an operations binder.
Yeah, I used to have one too.
You know, it's a very natural thing to kind of put your stuff together in one place because it's all over the place in this digital landscape and time that we live in. It's like something's in a Dropbox folder, something's in a Google Drive folder, something's in your inbox somewhere. But to ground yourself in crossing your T's and dotting your I's, printing it out and putting it in a binder is a really effective thing.
You know, it was so much easier when I had a physical space for people to come to. Like, here's the team handbook, just read through it. Or here's your printed version of it. With a virtual company, people all over, it's like, how do you get people to refer back to that? That's really fascinating. I think I'm going to start mailing them out.
You should because
we have it in a central place. They have to sign it. They have to go through it, the whole thing, when we're onboarding a new team member.
Yeah.
But then they don't do something right, and I'm like, go back to the
book. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I was just signing some app, and it's like you're reading through the disclosures.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I trust the company.
I know. You
Click,
never even read
sign.
it. You're like, let's give all my information away.
Our brains cannot internalize text on a screen in the way that they can on a printed piece of paper.
No, it's true.
The other thing too, we are truly living in a completely digital time. And so I buy all sorts of courses and trainings and social media, this and that. And then I'm like, what was the name of the creator? What is this program called? Yes. Where did it go? And I've always loved, I don't know how familiar you are with like the course landscape, but this company Kajabi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like I have the Kajabi app, and if the creator's program is hosted on Kajabi, it just shows up in my library.
Exactly.
Chef's kiss, love it, great. But
if they're not on Kajabi,
forget it.
Circle has the same thing. We use Circle.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so, it's all just a lot. And so the idea of a physical product that shows up and is calming and like beautifully designed, it just makes people feel like, oh, you're here.
Exactly.
I can put you on my desk, and when I have a problem or a question about taxes, I will open you up and I will go to the tax chapter, and it'll be there when I need it. And that's what it is. And I missed the physical part of having a business. And so when Plan de Ville became less of a priority for me, I still kept my warehouse contract.
Okay, interesting.
Yes, I was.
Oh, so that's where the planners get shipped out.
You got it. So I kept that contract because I just wasn't ready to let go of my first business, and I kept it. And I felt like it was a competitive advantage to have a warehouse like ready to go. And I also still had inventory there, and I literally only closed the site like 3-4 weeks ago, and just
that's interesting.
Yes, and because I felt it was like New Year. And I'm 100% all in on Cash Flow for Creatives and the Small Business Planner. So I was like, all right, I'm ready to just say goodnight. So now it says like we're a private shopping community or something. And then as soon as I did that, the fires happened in California.
Was it? Wait.
So I had a bunch of inventory.
And you were able to ship it.
I was able to ship it. And I didn't even think twice, because to my point about strategy, I had already decided.
Already write that all off.
I was like, I had already decided. That's true. I had already decided that the site was no longer a priority, and I was going to turn off the ability for people to go on and shop. Because up until 4 weeks ago, you could go on and shop, and it would ship from the warehouse that I kept this whole time, which had value. But
weren't into it.
I wasn't into it. I just wasn't into it. I really want to sell small business planners. Period. I don't care to do anything else. And so I shut it down, and then immediately it was like, these people have had the worst possible thing happen to them. And I can put together, it's actually really hard to wrap your brain around it. Yeah, as New Yorkers, it's like, it's more than the island of Manhattan has been completely wiped off.
No, I used to live in Santa Monica there.
Oh my gosh.
And friends' houses burned, childhood homes burned down.
Yeah, it's just horrendous.
Devastating.
But I was like, oh, I can make these dignity boxes for people. I was like getting individual women's information and being like, okay, she's a size 8, amazing. Like, here are some pieces of putting together.
Oh, you did? That's amazing.
It was one of those things where it just felt so easy to do it, because it was clear that the business wasn't my focus, and what a great thing to be able to help people. But I kept that contract all these years because it just felt like I wasn't done with that business. What I wasn't done with was product-based businesses. Yes. I have never been a software girly, no. And so the idea of having a digital course-focused business wasn't 100% aligned with me. And so I didn't even, when it comes to selling, I didn't feel like it was totally me or totally on brand for me. So I wasn't even able to throw myself behind it fully. I was missing the product component of it. And so when it dawned on me how to, put it together in the planner format, I just immediately was like, oh, this is brilliant. This is really going to help people. And have gotten a lot of momentum from that since then. And then, I called up my existing warehouse partner and said, hey guys, I've sent them different brands over the years and connected them with other clients and whatnot. So we have a great relationship. But I was like, I got a new thing for you to ship. And I went out and did a packaging training and kind of helped them understand like why this is a big deal, how this is going to help people. It's just, this is such a
It came so beautifully when I ordered mine.
Thank you. I'm so glad. And thank you for ordering. Getting something warehouse ready is also a thing when you have a product-based business.
Right.
Like the first 500 copies or so didn't come in the box that you would have received. It came in like a general white box and with like tissue paper and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then
if it slides around, I feel like it could get, corners could get bent.
Oh, yeah. And that happened. That happened with a lot of them in the beginning. And that's just a normal part of figuring it out because unless you're test shipping it round trip to your own front door, you're not going to really know, which actually is a really good idea. People should do that more often. Right. I should have done that myself. I just didn't think about it. And I started to see, oh my gosh, if we put the pages in the 3-ring binder, they like rip off in transit. You would never think that.
You would not think of it.
Not think
I wouldn't have thought of that.
No, and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah, you wrapped them all up in the little...
Yeah, exactly. So now that the pages come in like a shrink wrapped thing, and then they go inside a custom cardboard wrapping that keeps them secure inside the box, and then that goes inside the planner, and then the planner is inside a box that is perfectly sized to the dimensions of the binder, and that's it. And then I have a partnership with FedEx for flat rate shipping in the US. And so all these things, but when you're thinking about scaling, it really behooves you to think about how can I make this really seamless for my partners,
right?
And how can I communicate really, really clearly about my expectations. So like the printer that does the pages, every single time I send them a PO, I remind them that the brown chipboard in that thing needs to be 1/4 of an inch wider than the length of the tab. Because if it's not, the tabs are going to get bent.
Oh, so do you have just like a blanket like thing and you send the same thing every single time?
Yeah, kind of copy and paste. It's like you copy and paste the terms
like
and put it on.
Template.
Yeah. I just
your order template.
My order template. I actually use purchase orders inside Shopify.
Oh, you do? Perfect.
Yeah, they have under like products now. There's a purchase order section.
Amazing.
And it's handy. That's another thing. Just tracking your ordering and tracking what you're committed to is really tough for businesses. And
true.
However you can prioritize it's not even like being on top of your stuff. It's just being organized and ordering in the same way so that you have a database of
system.
What you've ordered. Yeah, and without guidance about how to create those systems, it's almost impossible to do it well.
Yeah.
And then you end up with missing
inventory. It's definitely not my skill set. I'm like, other people need to develop the system.
Yeah.
It's like literally even on all of my personality profiles, it's like, she's a systems breaker.
Yeah.
That's what they call me. No, I'm just joking. I want to talk a little bit about funding. You mentioned it earlier. Did you get funding for your website?
I did not.
No. It was all
was self-funded and bootstrapped, and we started really small. So like we started with just 2 categories and really small quantities. And that's the thing online, like nobody knows how much stock you have. They can't see it.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit more about funding because I think I get people asking me like, how do I get financing for my business? How do I get investors in my business? My business isn't profitable when really they just need to go out and sell more and then they would have the extra cash flow.
Yes.
To put back into inventory and all that stuff. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the concept of funding is kind of this like easy out excuse about, if I had funding, my business would be easier.
Yeah.
No, that's not it necessarily. You really need to know, what does the next 12 months look like in your business? Expected sales, meaning how much do you think you can actually sell in a day, in a week, and in a month? Get really
sales projections.
Simple about it. Like if you use raw materials to turn something into something, and that's what you sell. Think about like how much yarn can you afford to buy to turn into sweaters to sell in a month? And so when you have a handle on what you think is possible to sell, and don't tell me you don't know and you can't figure it out. You have to really think about it. When you have a handle on that, then you're going to have a handle on what it's going to cost you to fulfill those sales. Then you have a handle on your possible gross profit. which is basically your operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see at the bottom, is the number positive or negative? And so funding is really important to get to a specific milestone. So like, let's say you are a creative, you're a handbag designer.
Right.
And you've got some momentum, you're selling on a website, maybe you have some wholesale partnerships, and you're like, I want a store. I want to open a brick and mortar store.
Right.
That's what we call a milestone.
Yes.
And it's going to take time and money to achieve that milestone of opening a store. Then when you open the store, you can make some reasonable assumptions about the amount of product you can sell at that store. So if you're thinking about funding, it should be to accomplish a specific milestone that then has a positive return on investment. People tend to feel like, oh, like back in the 2010 era when it was all about crazy fundraising.
Yes.
People were just making these numbers up.
Now I'm like 25 million for some ad.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, well, like, but what is this based in?
Yes.
Like, where are you trying to go? It's just like driving a car. Business is really like all the car metaphors, driver's licenses and car maps and exits on a highway are really helpful metaphors, because if you think about it, if you get in a car at the bottom of Manhattan and you're like, I want to drive to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You're going to need to have gas to get to Rhode Island. There's no two ways about it.
Yep.
So if you start your drive and you know you only have enough gas to get to Connecticut, you better hope that you make it to the gas station in Connecticut before you run out of gas.
Exactly.
And things take more time and more money than we ever want them to.
Always.
So the likelihood of running out of gas in the Bronx before you get to Connecticut is really high.
Exactly.
And so being able to say, here's where I want to go. And I know once I hit Rhode Island, I will be able to open my store or whatever it is and create this positive moment of momentum in the business. Where do you want to go? How much money and time do you think it's going to take to get there? And for a small business owner, that looks like, what are your other bills that you have? How much is that lease going to cost? How long is it going to take you to get the store open? What do you need until you start to generate inbound cash? That's what you should be raising for funding. It's just not, it's not a silver bullet. And there's 3 ways to fund a business. I think it's important for people to just kind of hear the fundamentals.
Yes.
So you can put your own money in a business.
Mm-hmm.
That's called a capital contribution. Make sure you tell your bookkeeper,
Yes.
hey, that $10,000 or whatever it is that I put in the bank account, it's not sales revenue. I'm putting funds in, and they need to make record it as a contribution from you on your balance sheet. The second is debt, which is borrowing money and paying a fee to borrow the money. You have to pay all the money back.
Yes.
There's no getting around it when it comes to debt. Debt is a covenant, and it needs to get paid back. Sometimes I have run into designers who don't really understand that concept.
They just take money out, like rack up a bunch of credit cards or take a loan.
I mean, all of
get an investor.
Debt is really normal. And
oh, yes.
especially for businesses that have inventory, it makes a lot of sense because it's a cash flow timing solution. But not everybody really understands that if you take a loan out, you 100% have to pay it back.
Yes, you do.
Versus option 3, which is equity, which is the sale of a piece of your business. So equity holders, they don't have any rights to get their money back because you gave them a piece of your company in exchange. It's a clean sale.
Right.
It's a clean sale.
What are the downsides of equity, though?
Yes.
Because there's got to be a lot of downsides.
There are a lot of dowsides. And equity is the most expensive type of funding for your business. We can think, oh, equity, it's not even real. It's just like air. Oh, no.
It's taking a part of my business.
Taking a part of my, yeah, it's really, really real. And when you have equity partners, you're now depending on your legal, but a lot of startups don't have very good access to legal.
Right. It's expensive too.
It's cost prohibitive. Totally. You are now going to have to factor in other people's priorities in your business. You are no longer making your own decisions. And if you partner with somebody who's a strategic, helpful advisor, that's great.
Yes.
You're like, I don't want to make my own decisions by myself. I really want your
They're gonna
input.
tell me. Yeah.
They're going to help me and tell me. But you can't really get it back. You have to buy it back. Ideally, the value of the shares go up over time. It's tough to untangle those partnerships. Whereas debt, it's like clean, clear, easy breezy. This is the relationship. I'm giving you funds for a period of time that you can use to create more value
Exactly.
for a fee. And then you have to pay it back at a certain point in time.
If someone wanted to use debt to finance their business and maybe buy some inventory or finance receivables or whatever is deliverables, whatever, all the things you have to do. I used to use a factor back in the day with my company. And that factor ended up going out of business in 2008 because they lost so much money. But that was a great option for me based on the type of business I had at that time. I don't even know if factors are still around. Are they? Yeah. Financing the debt, I question about that. When, a lot of times small business owners, they're applying for a loan or they're applying for credit and it's based on their personal income and blah, 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 blah. What are some ways around, like, how do you talk to a bank or someone to show them your business plan, which you're going to help them with?
Yes.
Their business plan, their financial plan, I should say, to get more money than they would get approved from or get a loan approved? Because I know that there's ways around this than just like an automatic credit check.
Yes. And I was literally on the phone with Chase this morning and I leaned across toward my Zoom camera and I was like, guys, this is why I recommend that people work with small local banks. Because the only way around that is number one, no matter where you bank, sorry, Chase, I just blew you up. No matter where you bank, you need to have a relationship with a small business banker. This is in the Small Business Planner, there's a chapter on key contacts, the 5 key people that you need to have in your corner. It's your bookkeeper, your accountant, your lawyer, an insurance broker, and a small business banking contact. Because you need to have someone to advocate for you.
Right.
To the back office. They all have quotas to sell products at the bank.
Right.
So it's not like a charity. Small business bankers are incentivized to write loans, open credit cards, get you to sign up for their merchant services. Like, they're in sales too. They're in the customer relationships business as well. So go in and just introduce yourself and tell them about your business. Tell them about who you help. Tell them about the momentum you've got. And then explain what you need the funds for. But don't bother going to a large corporate bank. Because
they're not going to do it.
They're not set up to actually cater to small business. They're going to put you through, because they put me through it this morning, an automated decision-making thing. And it's like, guys, well, I just told you that I spent 2 years selling nothing until, bam, I had my breakthrough. And now we have $1 million business.
Yes.
So yeah, if you look at last year's information, if a robot looks at last year's information, you're not going to see the opportunity.
Right. And so this is the thing. You're like, you launch the Small Business Planner. It takes off.
Yeah.
People love it.
People love it.
You have a great business. Your digital product company didn't work as well.
It didn't resonate with the customer. That's okay. You keep going.
Yeah. But they're taking 3 years of financials.
Exactly. So big banks are always going to use an automated approach, and that's never going to help a small business owner who really needs context. But what's great is there are other small businesses that are banks who understand this, who don't have an automated back office, who actually have loan officers and underwriting pros who are like, oh, this person with a restaurant concept is looking for funding. Oh my God, amazing. Bring them back in. It's much more exciting than whatever they were doing before you walked into the branch. So, finding financial partners is really, it's kind of like dating. It's looking for the right fit. So if I was a huge corporation looking for financing, it would make sense for me to go to a huge corporation to get financing.
Right.
But it just doesn't, it's never going to make sense for a small business to go to a large corporate bank. I look forward to being proven wrong. Large corporate banks, you can find me at smallbusinessplanner.com. Millions of people are looking for easier avenues to financing.
And it would be amazing if it was easier.
Yes. One of my big grand plans, is to make small business financing easier. And
it's such an amazing service.
Yeah.
If you could figure it out.
I will figure it out because it's just leaving so much value on the table. There are certain things like merchant cash advances, like Shopify Capital, Wayflyer. They're great, but the pace that it puts the business under is tough because it's short-term lending.
It's like a certain amount per week or whatever.
It's daily. It's daily.
Oh, the daily stuff.
It's
so
daily.
What are those called? Bridge loans?
Yeah, you could call them all sorts of things. I mean, the technical term is merchant cash advance,
Okay.
where really you are buying access to your future inbound cash flow. You're basically saying, I need funds for, next season's product
Collection,
And they're like, okay, in the same sense, they're using AI and they're using an algorithm to look at your sales performance and say, we believe that in the next 6 months, you're going to bring in $500,000.
Right.
Therefore, we're comfortable lending you $75,000 for a fee, usually between 6 to 10% of the amount they're lending you.
Okay.
And we want 22% of your daily sales every day to pay that back.
I've done one of those before.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
It's stressful. It's great because it's easy. So you don't have a lot of underwriting to go through. A bank isn't going to drag you along for a month and then tell you no. They're just going to look and say, okay, statistically, your sales are unlikely to plummet.
Exactly.
Your sales are likely to kind of continue and maybe go up and very unlikely to fall off the face of the earth. And with this funding, you can go back out and get more of your product and keep selling. So those are great because they're accessible and they get businesses going. Better way would be trying to pre-sell.
Yes. Pre-selling inventory.
Pre-selling inventory.
Yes.
And I would argue if a pre-sell feels impossible, don't even bother, because there needs to be enough consumer demand
And excitement about
to
it.
justify a pre-order. And if there's not, go do something else, because that's actually really indicative of whether or not your product is going to be successful.
This is true.
It's really
What if you have a
tough,
small audience?
Major tough love. I had a small audience.
And you did it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I had a small audience, but I've always grown through ads. So I will say, Facebook and Instagram are not set up to help. And I never really messed with TikTok. I was just more of a lurker to watch ridiculous videos. But the organic algorithm is something that I don't totally understand how to optimize. But when you pay to play,
Yeah, and you have a high converting page.
yes, all
of that.
That is a playbook that you can run if you have a high converting page, if what you're selling is priced right,
In demand.
in line with people's willingness to pay. Like, people look at a product and they do have a subconscious number in mind when they look at that product that they are willing to pay.
Exactly.
And if you are right in line with what that number is, you will maximize your conversions. If you're above it, well, forget it. And if you're below it, sometimes you can also have people being like, oh, this is too good to be true.
Right.
Oh, this is going to come and be a piece of junk. But really packing in as much. And I really appreciate that you feel like the Small Business Planner is well priced.
Oh, I definitely
Because-
do.
Thank you. I want people to feel that. I want people to feel like they got so much value out of this, because that's also an ingredient for fast growth. When people feel, and like, it's very profitable for us.
Yeah.
It's as profitable as it needs to be, and it's in line with what people think is an appropriate price.
Right.
That's how everybody wins.
I love it. Where can everyone find? Well, actually, we are going to be sharing a link for the Small Business Planner
Yes.
in the show notes.
Yes.
So what I'm going to say is go to tracymatthews.com/small business planner, and we're going to redirect you over there to
Perfect.
grab the Small Business Planner. So amazing. One more question for you before we go. What does creativity mean to you?
Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful question. I think it just means expression. The first thing that came to my mind is there's like an adult art studio. I live in Williamsburg after living in Manhattan for many, many years, so I'm like enjoying discovering all these amazing things. It's called Recess Grove, and it is like an adult art classroom
I wanna
meets mocktail bar. And so the idea of, I had a really difficult 2024 health-wise, and the idea of being able to go in and like book time to draw at this place in my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's creating a space to express yourself through something. That, I think, is what creativity means to me. It's just tapping into that like inner child part of yourself and letting them out.
And
playing. I've been a very serious person for a very long time, and I feel like finally getting to a place where what I do is really solving a problem for people in the world, and it's
Exactly.
growing. I'm now like, oh, maybe I can take a little time to play a little, because I kind of finally feel safe in the world to do that. And so the idea of creativity really just means like self-expression and art.
I love it so much. Thank you so much
Tracy.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.